Hey, welcome back. It is a good day. We have a new knife here, and I'll be using the Demco AD20.5 for this unboxing. This is kind of an exciting one because, for a couple reasons, but I haven't unboxed a new Demco on the channel for a couple months. And let me just get this receipt off of here. Cool. But we do have one today from GP Knives. So they had a drop of USA made Demco AD20 full size, which I've never bought an AD20 full size new before. So that's kind of an exciting milestone for me. All the ones I've gotten in the past have been pre-owned, but Demco came out with this new run of full flat grind full size AD20s. So wow, that looks very different too. You can just immediately see that grind is totally different. It feels lighter. I'm excited to throw this thing on the scale, but here's the traditional AD20. You can see a little difference on the jimping there, but man, that thing is super heavy on the blade. Wow, that is radically different. Radically different, like way less. It's not as tall. I guess maybe it kind of is, but it looks like it's way thinner towards the tip. It's way lighter. It feels like an AD20S, but it's the same blade stock thickness as the full size. That is a really, when I first saw this, I was like, why wouldn't they just do that on the AD20S? But now I get it. And sorry, my computer just went wonky on me, so sorry about that. Very funny.
Sounds good.
Whoa, what is going on here? Oh, I'm pressing a button with my box here, so it was making my computer go wonky. Sorry about that. I just heard a recording of me from my work side, which I also record videos on. So, what do I think? Wow, I hesitated on this. Now I'm really looking to go get myself one of these in a full tie, because that's what I've kind of done is I've whittled down a lot of my collection into the full tie variants. I still have, I don't know, 4 or 5 G10 variants, and I really do like this blue, which is why I grabbed this one when I saw it. This is 3V. Let's kind of back it up for a minute. Full size, perfectly centered. They do an amazing grind, especially on their US made knives. And the whole idea here was to take what was traditionally a pretty big knife, still, relatively slicey. This one maybe has a little bit of use on it. Holy moly. That is sweet. Let's see if that's like a straight, oh wow. That's sharp. All right, now I get why they did this. I don't love it cosmetically as much as the other one. I think the other one, the full size, not the other one, too specific there. It looks better to me. This one, kind of a overextended thumb hole instead of but man, that is slicey and functional, and really at the end of the day, it's going to do everything that you want it to. Without some of the drawbacks of the traditional full size. So let's get a quick weigh-in on that, and then I'm going to see if I can quickly pull out a full size G10 so that it'll be more like to like and weigh that as well. So let's throw this on the scale. And now here I'm going to scramble. I'm pretty sure I have one pretty close by here. Where's my G10 variant? Is this it? Great. Found it right away, luckily. Ooh. Okay. And this is like a very old, it's also 3V blade steel, so it'll be a really good like-to-like comparison. You can see this is a hand-etched 3V in G10. I'm glad I didn't get rid of this. I actually considered selling it recently. And so, wow, 5.45 ounces, we'll call it. versus 6. Oh my God, that cuts down so much weight. Now, granted, they've changed the scales a touch over time. It's not huge, but you can see a slight difference in the way that they made the scales. But man, this is generally very similar. That's crazy. I can't believe that's such a big difference. 2 ounces almost. That's freaking crazy. That's the same weight as an AD20S. Well, now I know why they didn't do this on just the AD20S. They probably would take the AD20S under 5 ounces. Let me pull out a G10 AD20S also. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I think I got one right here in blue. In fact, this was one of the first ones. This was one of the first ones ever made, actually, without the thumb stud. So it's a really good comparison. 5.2. It's so close in weight, but you can see there's a huge difference in the blade stock thickness, which you can really illustrate with the shark lock. Now, at the edge, behind the edge, it might even be slicier than this. It is. It's actually thinner behind the edge, but look where they started on the blade stock thickness and then what they went down to. So you got 5.2 ounces on the AD20S versus now, you know, a 5.45 ounces on the AD20. That's super interesting. You can see, like, with the, you know, partial flat grind, it gives it a lot of robustness, which is great. And this thing's plenty slicey. Like, we do some of what we just did on that other test with this one, it'll pass most of that test as well. Looks like this one doesn't want to go quite as straight down, but, you know, it's very slicey also. But this thing is just insane. Yeah, I guess they're pretty similar. But that's just really interesting. What an interesting variant that they decided to bring out here, and they brought it out in clip point, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, this is something I could actually see myself carrying because it's, you know, light enough. But then you get all the benefits of a full size. This is the, you know, this might, I'd be curious to ask the Demcos if this is their new, like, if you could only have one, I could very much see how this would be the one. If you could only have one Demco, this kind of does it all, right? You get the benefits of the huge, robust clip point that they always did. Now there's a feeling to this that, you know, you kind of can't replace, but look where the weight is there. I have to have my finger past the front choil. If I have it here, it's like that blade is so heavy. The weight distribution on this is like perfect, like right where you'd want it to be. It just really bounces out nicely with the G10. Now with when you get into the full tie, that's when this starts to feel really good because you got a nice balance that's in about the same place there. So I'd kind of take the full stock thickness and the half grind, if you will. I don't know if it's a half grind or 60% grind. I'd probably take that with the tie, and I'd go with this full flat grind for the G10, just to have the more balanced feel to it. But man, this is a really sweet all-around knife here. I'm impressed. It's so funny, I just cosmetically was not attracted to it. It didn't have that same special something that the other ones had on them for me. But now that I'm getting in person, it generally looks very good. It's not great. Again, I'd probably even just say push this up a little bit so that it doesn't bite into the, you know, into the grind line there. If that was just in front of the grind line, that'd probably bother me a little less. Maybe they have it there because that's where you need it for good deployment though. It's kind of, you can see it's kind of similar there. So it's probably there for a very specific reason. You can see this older one, the AD20S rather, has the peanut shape. So this is quite a bit of a different, fuller shape here. But yeah, that's a really interesting and compelling knife. So these were $450 too. You're talking about a lot of knife for $450 to get into that full size blade stock thickness. Again, part of what blows me away is look how much thinner it is up at the tip. So where your weight is also very important, right? Because of torque and momentum, inertia. If you have a ton of weight up here towards the tip, that's going to be much harder to swing out than when it's lighter towards the tip. So that's super interesting. Just put these sort of side by side. Maybe I can zoom in here and let you see a little bit of that difference in the grind and the jimping. And then I'll throw it on this angle again, because there's really a big difference there. Huh, how cool. That's a really neat Demco to add to the collection. Now I gotta go on a mission to go find that in textured tie. I think I actually saw someone resell one on Reddit this week and I missed it. But now I gotta go find one. So yeah, another neat one from Demco there. Another neat knife. They just do so much cool stuff. And sometimes they'll take like a slight hiatus from these fancy ones. I almost always, pull out my tie variants here in the AD20.5 and I carry this guy out. When I go out, I carry this one with the deep pocket. My buddy Durning Knives on Instagram made this pocket clip for me, and it's great. This one feels a little cooler for the carry. It's S35VN. It's brand new. I never use it, so I know I got a nice sharp knife, and I carry that. And then for my box opening and my hard use stuff, if you will, I don't know if we'll call it hard use, but for beating up, I got my just classic, got it $150 Grivery version here, Grivery, whatever you want to call it, version that I just abuse the hell out of. I've resharpened this 2 or 3 times now, and it's actually holding an edge longer and longer as I resharpen it more and as it works its way up into the thickness. Been really impressed with the edge retention on that AUS 10A as it's gone up there, but I don't really jump into all my Demco collections unless I just have an emotional reason to or whatever. I certainly have this as a marquee knife in my collection, but I don't constantly, I don't carry that or whatever. So to find one like this that's potentially more compelling for a carry is very interesting. And where I would put this as interesting for a carry is not just for, my typical use, the box opening and the, whatever you might run into. You got to cut a rope or something when you're out on the road. There's things that you run into out there. But man, that's a really nice self-defense knife. Just the robustness. When I think about self-defense, a big concern to me is my hands slipping up into the knife. And I don't use my knives for self-defense a lot, but it crosses my mind here and there. But man, this thing just feels like you'd be very secure having to use it for self-defense type situations. Yeah, it really is light enough to do it all. So that's a very interesting model. If you can get over, or if you don't mind the cosmetics of it, let's say maybe if they'd swedged it or something, it could have made it a little more, cosmetically appealing. Maybe if it had a hollow grind on the bottom part. I know the whole point's the full flat grind, but maybe a regrind on this would make an insane edge on it. That'd be crazy. Yeah, very interesting. And then it would kind of give it that look back if you did that. I mean, you wouldn't have the full flat grind, but you'd have, a nice look to it, if you will. So yeah, I think that's all for now. Always good when we find a good Demco that we like. So please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.